Today, one thing I want to talk about is a pretty common question I get anyway from dental practices when I speak to them is, should I be on Google ads or Facebook ads? And my answer is always yes. But hear me out a little bit on this, because the real question isn't which platform is better. The real question is how much you spend on each of them. Hey everybody, welcome back to the show. I am Chris Pistorius, founder of KickStart Dental Marketing. Today, one thing I want to talk about is a pretty common question I get anyway from dental practices when I speak to them is, should I be on Google ads or Facebook ads? Which one should I do? And my answer is always yes. And it annoys people. It can be annoying, but hear me out a little bit on this, because the real question isn't which platform is better. They both work. We get new patients for our clients out of both of them. The real question is how much do you spend on each of them and what to actually expect from them, and to understand what exactly each platform is in terms of an advertising medium, because these are all very different things. And if you try to treat them the same way, you're going to waste money on both. In fact, this is one of the biggest reasons that I see that dentists use Facebook ads completely wrong, by the way. Most agencies do as well. But today I'm going to break down exactly, how each platform works for dental. I'm going to talk about Google when they're the obvious play, Meta. And if you don't know what Meta is, so I'm going to say Meta a lot during this, but Meta is a combination of Facebook and Instagram ads, because they're both controlled basically by the same company, which is Meta. And there are some times when I think Meta is the smarter move to go with. And I'm going to show you also the mistakes I see that practices make on both when they try to do it themselves. And I'll even tell you what some of these agencies are doing and why it's appalling to me, and some of the mistakes that they're making. And we'll kind of go from there. So let's get into it. So I think the simplest way to think about it is Google captures demand, okay? Meta creates that demand, okay? So let me talk about that. Google ads, everybody here uses Google, and all of you probably use Meta too, Facebook. When you type in dentist near me or plumber near me or whatever near me, emergency tooth extraction near me, they already have a problem. They have their credit card in hand. They're just trying to figure out who it is they're going to spend money with. The demand is there. They have the intent. They're more ready to buy. And that's pretty powerful. Okay. That's why we see that Google ads are way more expensive than Meta ads, because Google ads have that intent. Meta ads, the people using Meta aren't going on Meta to find a dentist typically. The people on Meta are usually logging in to see what their neighbors are up to, what their family's up to, reconnecting with an old friend, somebody like that. So when you throw an ad in front of them, that's more disruptive type advertising. You're still going to be able to capture people if you do it the right way. You're still going to be able to get leads, and you're still going to be able to get patients, but you have to understand what mind frame that people are in and when they're using these mediums. If I'm scrolling through Meta and I see a $99 new patient exam, number one, I'm probably going to lose my mind because I see a lot of them, and I'm probably going to lose my mind again because that's not what you should be doing on Meta. They weren't looking for a dentist 5 seconds ago. Now you've interrupted them on Meta and created something totally different. It's just a totally different dynamic. So really neither is better. They serve different purposes during the new patient journey. The Google people are more ready to buy. The Meta people are a little bit further down in the funnel. Think of Google as the closer and Meta as the opener, if you will. We see a lot of times people will see an ad on Meta, for instance, and then go to Google and do a search on it, or do a search for that particular service, right? So the mistake here, in my opinion, is that practices pick one. They go all in and wonder why they're either paying too much per lead on Google or getting leads that didn't show up on Meta. They tell me all the time, I hear this, Google ads don't work, Meta ads don't work. That's not the case. You just got to know how to do it, and you've got to know how to strategically get these patients to want to take action. So that's what this podcast is all about. So I want to talk about when Google ads is the obvious play. Think of this in terms of emergencies, urgent services, toothache, broken tooth. These type of people don't browse Instagram looking for an emergency dentist. They Google it. Google is a verb now, right? So they Google it. It's high intent, it's high value, and Google owns it. The general dentist near me searches Someone just moved to town, lost their insurance, or their old dentist retired, whatever it might be. They're actively shopping. You want to be the first result there when they're doing this shopping. Specific procedure searches, dental implants near me, wisdom teeth removal cost, things like that. These are patients a little bit further down the funnel, but they're still researching and they're going to be ready to book very soon. Google's still a good answer for them. Lead quality with Google is generally higher. It is. These people do have that intent that we talked about. They're looking for you. They're looking for a practice like yours. They're just trying to figure out which one they're going to trust the most. Show rates tend to be better with Google ads. The trade-off, though, is that it is more expensive per click, like I said before. In competitive markets, you get in these big cities, you might be paying $15 to $50 per click for dental keywords. And there's a ceiling to that as well. There's only so many people searching every day for dental implants near me. You can't really scale Google, I don't think, the way that you can scale Meta. But I think that practices that need patients now, practices in competitive markets where showing up first really matters. Things like high value services, full mouth rehab, I think that's got Google, written all over it. So that's where I would go with them. So now let's talk about when I think that Meta is maybe the smarter move for you. Cosmetic and elective services, Invisalign, veneers, whitening, smile makeovers. You need to be thinking Meta ads with that. They're aspirational. People don't always know that they want it before they see it, right? That happens to me all the time on Facebook. I didn't know I needed that extra computer screen. Well, maybe I should click and learn more about it. Before and after photo works great. A smile transformation video, a real patient on Instagram is awesome. It stops the scroll is what I like to say. How we're constantly scrolling through a feed. Anything that stops that motion, that's an attention getter. So that's what we really want to try to do there. I think all of those things are within Meta's superpowers. Now, the new patient specials and offers, $99 exam, x-ray, free consultation, limited time deals. These do create urgency, but you've got to have the demand first, right? They might be able to, though, to pull in people actively searching, but will only respond to a good offer. Now, this is where that double-edged sword comes in. Those are the type of people that we typically are calling lower value patients, okay? Or kind of the Groupon crowd. You have to be very careful with these people because their loyalty is not with any one dentist typically. Their loyalty is with what deal they can get next. So these are the people that'll hop from one practice to another, getting a free toothbrush or free whitening or, a $29, this, that, or the other thing, So you have to be really careful with these Facebook ads. If you start to go down to that less price, less value is kind of all in the same realm there. I think Meta's really good at brand awareness. I think it's really good at community presence, especially for newer practices or practices that are entering maybe a new market. You can really introduce yourself to the community that way. But do me a favor, don't use Facebook ads like you would use Google ads. You can't just go onto Facebook and all of a sudden start with a $99 new exam, come see me, blah, blah, blah. It's not how it works. Remember, Meta is all about these people that are just logging in to see what their neighbors are up to, with their families doing things like that, right? So it's kind of like a relationship, a human relationship, right? On the first date with somebody, you don't typically ask them to marry you. Well, most of the time anyway, right? But you build a relationship first. You go on several dates, maybe, months, years, whatever it might be. You get to know each other, things like that. Facebook and Meta is really the same way because, again, these people aren't actively searching for a dentist. You're letting them know that you're available. So the ads that we run typically in the first 30, 60 days sometimes on Meta are more of like a video of a dentist introducing themselves like, hey, Glenwood community, my name's Dr. Smith. I've lived here for 14 years. This is my family. This is our pet dog, blah, blah, blah. These are our children. We're very active in this, that, or the other thing. And oh, by the way, we're also a dental practice. You might have heard about us, right? We introduce to the market. We don't just start selling right out of the gate. Now, after some time and after we've reached kind of our frequency, like how many times that ad has been seen by the same people, that's when we can start doing more selling, if you will, like introducing your products and services to the market. You can't just go out there with the offer first, though. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see with Meta ads. in terms of dental practices. There are some trade-offs with meta ads. Like I told you, the lead quality typically isn't as good. We see that within KickStart. These are, once again, interruptive leads. They're not intent-based. They filled out a form while scrolling in bed at 11 o'clock sometimes. Show rates are a little bit lower unless your follow-up game is on par. And I mean on par. If your front desk doesn't get back to a Facebook lead within a few minutes, the lead's gone. We train all of our clients really for every lead that comes in, not just meta ads, but you need to be responding to them within 5 minutes, or there's a good chance that they're going to go somewhere else. All right, meta's great for cosmetic focused practices, practices that need volume, practices building awareness, these newer practices, any practice really with a strong follow-up system that can support the volume of leads and being able to go through some before you find a good one, especially people that can convert colder leads. Meta is a better choice for you. So let's talk about the biggest mistakes on each platform. I've already kind of stolen my own thunder here, but Google, let's start there. Running broad match keywords with no negative keyword strategy. Your eyes just rolled in the back of your head and you're like, what? Totally get it. I don't want to get too technical with you. I will warn you though, Google ads are a complex beast. If you don't know what you're doing within Google ads, you can spend a ton of money and not get any results out of it. That's the top reason people come to me and say, Chris, I'm not doing Google ads. They don't work. And once I ask them, like, were you doing them yourself? Yeah. There you go. That's why. This has to be your full-time job, is understanding Google ads and really meta ads too, to get them to work for you. So when I talk about broad match, it's a type of keyword. That means that you can set each keyword to different match types. Broad, exact, broad modified, I believe. I've got a whole team that works on this stuff. But if you don't know which type of keyword and what to set it at, you can just roll through a budget and not get any results out. Negative keywords are keywords that you put into a campaign that will specifically not trigger your ads. For instance, if you don't accept Medicaid, you don't want to start spending money on clicks that are about Medicaid, right? It's like if somebody types in Medicaid dental practice near me, you don't want to show up for that. So we would put that in as a negative keyword so that your ad would not show up for anything related to Medicaid or free or cheap or jobs, or, you can see where my point is. Competitor names are a big one. These negative keyword lists, these match types, all need to be worked on a weekly basis. You can't just set it and forget it, okay? Because they build up over time and you've got to constantly be working on those. All right. So there's some big Google mistakes right there. If you don't do this, you're paying for clicks for people looking for jobs, looking for your competitor. They're looking for services that you don't offer, things like that. Another big mistake is you send traffic to your website. So that means somebody clicks your Google ad and they go to your website. That's a mistake. I know it seems obvious that you should do that, but you should really build a dedicated landing page for whatever service that your ad is promoting. So if it's about dental implants, if your ad is about dental implants, when they click that ad, it should go to a page, not on your website, that talks only about dental implants. They can't go anywhere. They can't click a menu and go to another page. And it's all about implants with a strong call to action and a clear way to get a hold of you. Okay, landing pages will convert much better. You're not tracking calls is another big mistake. You've got to track all your calls that come in from these ads and determine what ads specifically they came from, how people were finding you from them, things like that, and understanding that data to make changes to the campaigns. You can't do the set it and forget it management with these things. You just can't do it. And it's not just you guys doing those when you do them on yourself. There's agencies and a whole bunch of them out there that will do these set it and forget it type campaigns, and they wait for the docs to call them and say, hey, this isn't working. What's going on? And they try to buy themselves some more time. And, it's like this whole thing. A lot of these agencies are trying to scale and get big and sell, and I don't blame them for doing it, but you cannot do quality marketing if you just set it and forget it and, walk away. Big mistake there. They need weekly attention, if not daily, especially in the beginning. Bids, search terms, negative keywords, copy testing, so like different ads at different times, A/B split testing. So big mistakes. All right, using stock photos. Generic creative, right? You saw an ad from another dental practice and you're just going to copy that one. Nope, big mistake. Don't do that. Just not following up with the leads. Okay, that seems like, why the hell would I do that, Chris? Well, nobody really intends to do that. It's just sometimes you get these leads in the middle of the night. Sometimes you get them, when the practice is real busy. People forget. And then all of a sudden it's been 2-3 hours or the next day and nobody's followed up with them. Can't do that with these leads. It goes for Meta and Facebook. Got to test creative as well. It's a big mistake people make. They're not testing the ads, which one works best, actually analyzing the data. AI can help with that analyzation, by the way. You can't just keep the same ad out there and expect to get results for months or years. It's called ad fatigue. You've got to come up with fresh content, fresh ads. It's not necessarily an every week thing, but probably every 2 to 3 weeks is when we're refreshing our ads, the ones that are working. You've got to know when to shut off ads that are not performing and test them with new ads. So things like that. All right, different formats too, right? You can do ads in all kinds of different formats now on both platforms. All right, so how do you split your budget between these? This is a tough answer to this because there's no good answer to it, really. There's no one size fits all split. But there are some frameworks that I can go through with you real quick based on really what your goal is. So let's say you're a general practice. Look, I just need butts and seats. Lean heavier on Google. Maybe 60-40 or 70-30. Google to Meta. Meta fills the gaps and builds the awareness. Google gets the low-hanging fruit, right? If I want to grow a cosmetic or elective services, flip it. Go 60-40 in favor of Meta. Cosmetic is aspirational, like we talked about. People need to see it to want it. Meta does a great job of letting people visualize that. And the targeting is built for this. So we can target specific incomes, ages, if they have kids, there's interests. There's a lot of things that we can do with meta ads that you can't do with Google in terms of targeting. What if you're a startup and it just needs somebody to come see me? You need to do both. You do. And, honestly, all of you need to do both. It just comes down to budget. So typically what I tell people is with Google ads, you need about $800 per campaign. A campaign would be something like general dentistry, Invisalign, teeth whitening could potentially be, its own campaign. If that's what you want to promote, each one of those campaigns needs about $800 in spend. Now, look, that's just ballpark because where you're located, how much competition you have, things like that will all change those numbers. But that's about where you need to be per campaign. With Meta, you can budget approximately half of that to get good results. I think one of the biggest things here is, it's not just the ads, it's the infrastructure as well that you have behind it. So you've got to have these people that are able to follow up with these leads. Just adding more money to something doesn't necessarily mean you're going to get more new patients out of it. I call it the leaky bucket syndrome, right? A lot of times when we take on a new client, one of the first things that we're doing while we're building out like the rest of the marketing campaign is we look at their front desk. We listen to their calls. We look at their lead flow process. All right. How quick are they getting back to a new lead? How long is it taking them? And how quality is that follow up? And we look for any holes in the bucket. The front desk can be the bucket. And so what we're trying to do is by the time we get caught up with building out all of our marketing, by the time that happens and we start filling more water in the bucket, we're not going to leak anything or very little, right? A lot of agencies won't do that. They don't care about your leaky bucket. They're just hired to get you leads. And they're like, all right, hands off. I did my job. And then all of a sudden you're like, what's going on? I'm not getting any more new patients, and they're like, oh, it's not our fault. We got you leads. And so you fire them and then you go get another agency. And the same thing happens over time. Then you go fire them and you go get a new agency, right? Well, nobody's addressing the real problem potentially. And that's that bucket. You've got to fix the bucket. You've got to make sure there's no holes in it because pouring more water into it's not going to fix it. It's just going to allow more water to leak out, right? So that's a big part with any marketing that you're doing. All right. So we talked about how, the smartest, the best performing practices that we have aren't choosing one or the other. They're actually doing both. And I think that's usually a good strategy. And you don't have to really break the bank to get good results out of both. So I'm going to wrap up on this subject. Look, Google ads and meta ads should not be seen as competitors. They're teammates. Google catches people with intent. Meta creates interest and builds your brand. People are going to go from Meta to Google a lot of the times. The magic really happens when you run them together in the right budget, the right split, the right creative, and most importantly, the right systems. You're probably tired of me saying that behind the scene to actually get those converted and butts in chairs. Because at the end of the day, really neither platform matters if your phone isn't getting answered and you're actually getting patients that are paying you in your office. So if you want some help with this, as you know, I'm the CEO of KickStart Dental Marketing. We'd love to talk to you. Just go to kickstartdental.com. There's buttons all over the place about a 90-day growth plan or a free discovery call. Click any of those. They all go to the same place. We'll meet with you for 20 or 30 minutes, talk about your practice specifically, give you some ideas on what we can do. And you'll have some real world examples to go by and some expectations in terms of what you should be able to get out of marketing. And honestly, you'll get a really good picture of where we think your money should be going in your particular market for your particular practice. All right. Well, thanks for listening. Please do share this with a colleague. Subscribe to it, like it, whatever you got to do. Leave me a review as long as it's a good one. Just kidding. And I'll be sure to see you on the next episode.
Thanks for joining us this week on the Dental Marketing Podcast. Make sure to visit our website, www.kickstartdental.com/podcast, where you can subscribe to the show in iTunes, Spotify, or via RSS, so you'll never miss a show. While you're at it, if you found value in the show, we'd appreciate a rating on iTunes. Or if you'd simply tell a friend about the show, that would help us out too. If you are ready to grow your practice, then you might want to schedule a free strategy session with us. Just go to kickstartdental.com and click the free strategy session button and give us 15 minutes of your time to change your practice forever. Be sure to tune in next week for our next episode. And thanks for listening to the Dental Marketing Podcast by Kickstart Dental Marketing, where dentists go to win online.